Good evening. This is BelGeode, and we are back with some more X-Plane 11 in virtual reality. Howdy, folks, and we are back here in X-Plane 11, and tonight I am going to show you an awesome little helicopter. This baby comes from Argentina. This is the Cicaré ULM 8 or Cicaré-8 ULM. What does ULM stand for? Ultralight helicopter, and it is a two-seat version, as you can see there. Of course, bear in mind you can't see my passenger. However, you'll have to take my word for it. When we go to the outside view, you will see her. She is in there. All right, so we are back here in Papua New Guinea, and the airports that I'm going to be showing you tonight, most of them were created by me in WED, and the others that we'll be seeing are going to be a part of the Suzy Air package that you may remember if you're a longtime viewer of the channel and remember when I was doing that tour around Papua New Guinea. Two of the airports that were in that I modified slightly just so that they could have my personal touch to them, and we're going to be flying there tonight. But I will explain all of that in a moment, and one of the things that I plan on doing while we're doing our flight here is I will tell you a little bit more about this helicopter in real life and how well it translates to the sim. Now, first and foremost, this helicopter is brought to us by VSkyLabs, and as you know, I am a huge fan of VSkyLabs work, so thank you to VSkyLabs for the review version of this helicopter. And man, I can't wait to show you how this little bird flies. Okay, well, first things first, we're probably going to need to get her started, so let's close the door. And incidentally, you can remove either door, so if you wanted to, you could fly without the doors altogether, but we are going to keep the doors on, and that'll be cool. All right, now you may also notice that this thing comes fully equipped with Avitab. As you can see, it's got the nifty little Avitab pad there. We also have our X-Pad, which we'll be using a little bit later for navigation purposes. Since we are in Papua New Guinea, you might say we're kind of off the beaten path. This airport, by the way, or this airstrip, I should say, is called Homeo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm just going to go with that. And this is one of the airstrips that I actually created in WED using a lot of various different scenery libraries. You might recognize some of the characters, buildings, and aircraft that you're seeing around here, but I wanted to come up with something that would kind of show off what it's like to be here in, I guess, the backwoods of Papua, as if there's any other place. All right, but I digress. Let's go ahead and get our Avitab on. And I've already taken the liberty of pulling up the manual to the checklist page. So we have this right here. This is our manual. And you can see we've got our normal procedures before starting, so on and so forth. So we're going to go down the list really quickly here. Now, if you can't see this all that well, I do have the capability of zooming us in, so it'll be a little bit easier for you, the viewer, to watch. So first off, we need to make sure our seatbelt and shoulder harness are on and adjusted. We can't do that in X-Plane, so we're going to assume it is. We need to set the altimeter to field elevation. It should be set to 29.908, which I believe I already set that, so we're good to go there. All the switches, we'll need to confirm that they are all off. These are our switches up here, and as you can see, they are in fact currently off. On would be in the forward position. Same thing for all the avionics. All of that good jazz is off there. All right, so zooming back in, make sure all our circuit breakers are in. A word of note, none of the circuit breakers work in this aircraft. I don't know if that is something that VSkyLabs plans on implementing later, but for right now, you can't like push in a circuit breaker or pull it out or anything like that. I like the little Hobbs meter there too. That's pretty cool. All right, moving on. Doors, they are secured. Friction is off. I already took the liberty of making sure that is the case, so that is a done deal. There's little friction knobs down there. And we want to make sure that our flight controls have full travel, freedom of movement with no binding. So let's go to our cyclic and we'll go full left, we'll go full right, full back, full forward. Let's pull our collective all the way up and collective all the way down. You can see the little rotor blades turning there. These are composite blades. That is awesome. I love that. Absolutely love that. Okay. And our friction is already set, so we're good to go. All right, so now on to the start section. Fuel valve on. This is our fuel valve here, so we're going to want to turn that to the on position. There it is. Cyclic and pedals, make sure those are neutralized. They are. And collective is full down. We already did that. Make sure the throttle is closed. Yes, throttle is completely closed. Headset, might as well turn that sucker on. I don't know if I can do that from here or if I'm going to have to use the magic of editing and pretend that it's on. It doesn't look like I can interact with it, so I'm assuming that it'll probably go on my head once I get started. We'll find out in a moment. All right, master switch on. This is our master switch here, so we'll flick you on. Close that. And look at that. Headset disappeared. Woohoo! That would be kind of cool if I could click on it and it'll actually come on my head, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so now that we've got the headset on and master switch on, we'll check the areas clear. Let's see. I see Bernadette and her friend Jillian over there. They're far enough away. I see Fred and Natasha working on their plane and all the other people over there, and I'm going to assume there's no one behind me, but I have no way of checking because I can't see what's going on behind me. Oh boy. Let's hope they're not there. Ignition switch. We're going to want to start and then release. So we will flip you over this way. Okay. Ignition is on. Engine is running, and the rotor is starting to turn. Can't believe I actually called it a prop. If Sergio heard that, I would completely lose my helicopter credentials. All right, after start, we want generator 2 on, we want the cooling fans on, and we want the fuel pumps on. So here we go. Generator on, fuel pump on, cooling fans on. And we should probably also turn on our nav light, which I bet is probably going to be the next thing in the sequence. Looks like we need to go to the other page. So let's do that really quick. Come on. Work with me here. There we go. Okay. So now in order to run up, we're going to need to raise the collective slightly and then lower the collective. We can watch the engine gauges there. Okay, looking good. Throttle, we're going to set the rotor RPM to 90. So right about at the low warning, and we're going to check that the low warning light does in fact come on. You can see our oil temperature is a little low. Wow, that sounds so good. Typically I have this thing on surround sound. However, for this one, I am actually listening to it in the headphones, and it really does sound cool. Alright, so there we go. We're right around 90. And we are going to do a dual ignition check. So we're going to make sure that the engine RPM does not drop too much. Alright. Let's get it up to the green. Right there. And we'll pull this back a bit. Still in the green. We're good. Put it back to both. And we'll pull it back another notch. Still in the green. Very good, very good. Okay, so now that we've got this thing set, we can engage the governor. Now the governor switch is located right on the tip of the collective. Just flick it to the up position and it'll take over from there. So that's literally all we need to do to get this helicopter ready and raring to go. So the rest of the checklist, as you can see, covers things like takeoff and shutdown and so on and so forth. So we're pretty much done with the Avatab. And what we can do, aside from turning it off, is get rid of it entirely. And there's a number of spots in this helicopter where we can also do that. For example, if we had someone who wanted to fly from the left seat, like say for example if you're doing a shared cockpit flight, what you can do is click on that and it will bring that cyclic up there. And we can turn that off. As far as the altimeter, currently it is in the standard barometric pressure, so millibars. We can click on it and it will automatically change to the more British style where it's got the hectopascals. So we'll change it back to that because that's what I'm used to. And then finally our turn and slip indicator, if we click on that, all of a sudden it becomes an artificial horizon. Pretty cool stuff. So we'll put that back to the turn indicator. There is an autopilot there that we can get rid of, or we can keep it in there. For the purposes of this flight, I might want to show you how that works, so I'm going to leave the autopilot there. And then the same thing for our compass. We can take that off, or we can leave that on. Me, I'm in the backwoods of Papua. I'm leaving the compass on. Alright, so pretty much everything is set to go for takeoff. So, what we're going to do, we're going to be flying around the area. As you can see, this thing comes equipped with a GPS. And actually, let me put our transponder to standby here. You'll notice that I've got the flight plan in there. We're at WT or Whiskey Tango 86. We're going to be going to Whiskey X-Ray 53, and then Whiskey Alpha 0 X-Ray, and then Whiskey Tango 89, Whiskey 58, or maybe that's 68. Yeah, 68. Sorry about that. And our last destination. Whoop. Did not mean to hit that. Clear that. Okay, after Whiskey 68, we're going to be going to Whiskey Alpha Bravo X-Ray. Now, the last two airports you see in this list, WW68 and WABX, both of those are part of the Suzy Air package. That's why I want to show those to you as part of this little tour here. So we're going to start out with airports that I've created, and we're going to make our way there. Alright, but I'm sure you are tired of me yakking, so let us make sure that everything is ready for takeoff, and then we will go ahead and get the heck out of here. Alright, and it looks like Bernadette and Jillian have both given us their blessings, so we are free to take off. And I want to call your attention to just how high above sea level we are here. We are at 5,200 feet above sea level. Now, the effective ceiling of this aircraft is over 14,000 feet. We will need oxygen before we get up that high. Thankfully, we don't have to do that. Alright, I took the liberty of turning on our transponder, so we're set to alt. So let me just do a quick controls wipe out. Barely lift the collective there. Okay. And pedals, everything seems to check out. A little bit sticky on the right, but that's okay. I can deal with that. Alright, I would say we are ready to go. So, let's slowly but surely bring the collective up. A little bit more. We want to be gentle and easy. Wait till it's light on a skid. See which way the helicopter wants to go. Okay. Alright, and now we can move off. And we'll go to the outside view for takeoff. Okay, great takeoff, and there you can see Homeo down below us. Looking kind of nice there. I'm actually kind of proud of this one. The only thing I didn't add to it was maybe like some of the brushes and grass and so on and so forth, because I find that tends to rob FPS, and honestly I think it looks good as is. I also put a little girl down there over by that building. Can hardly see her. Well, that was not worth it. Okay, so here's the plan of attack. We're going to follow the river for a little bit, and then we're going to veer left around one of these mountains and go over the mountain to get to our first destination. And our first destination is going to be it's WX53, which is called Boogalaga. Yeah, I don't make these names up. Apparently that's the real names of these places. I'm probably butchering it. I'm sure if there's anyone watching from Papua or New Guinea, they're probably like, oh, this dude. Why does he keep coming back to our country? That's my story anyway. So this is the mountain that I was telling you about. There's a little notch back in there where we should be able to get around that. It's going to be tricky though, I'm not going to lie, because yeah, this is a kit-built helicopter. This is not like an SH-3 or a Eurocopter or even a Chinook. This is a kit-built helicopter. This thing only has like a modified Rotax engine. I think it's the EPA Power 917 or something like that, which is kind of like a Rotax engine, which is typically what you will find on ultralight helicopters. This is of course a slightly beefier version with like 135 horsepower, which means when you crunch the numbers that we can probably achieve a rate of climb of about 1,400 feet per minute before it starts getting really bad for us. And then the other thing that we've got to worry about too is the fact that the coolant or the oil temperature does tend to heat up. If you take a quick look there, you will notice that it's already in the red. I'm hoping that we can cut left here through this little saddle ridge. Yeah, we should be able to do that. Alright, so I'm keeping us steady, trying to have enough forward speed, because if we lose too much forward speed, we're really not going to get over this mountain. So I'm like alternating between about 500 and 1,000 feet per minute climb, and trying to keep our speed roughly around 40 knots, thereabouts. And I'm keeping an eye on that temperature, because oh boy, if this thing overheats, yeah, this is going to be a really short flight, folks. But I think we can do it, so I'm confident enough to go to the outside view. See, I told you we were going to make it. Directly ahead is our second airport for this tour. This is Boogalaga Airstrip, and just like the previous one we took off from, this is something that I created in WED. A lot of the scenery libraries that I used included like CDB libraries or handy objects or even 3D people. So that's where I'm getting all of that stuff. All of that, by the way, is free for you to download and use. Okay, folks, welcome to Boogalaga Airstrip, and we're just gonna float down the runway here where I've conveniently placed a little helipad right at the top end of the runway. How convenient for us, huh? And here is actually something that came from one of my PAYWARE sceneries. That's I Blew Yonder's aircraft there. So obviously something like that would not be in like any kind of finished product. Not that I'm planning on releasing this at all as a finished product. This is purely for my benefit. So if you were looking forward to seeing links down below for all of these little airports, I hate to be the one to disappoint you, but no, there are none. I do not plan on releasing this airport scenery for anyone, aside from which I can't do that with PAYWARE stuff in there. And hello, what have we here? Damn, if those ain't the finest dressed women in Papua. So let's see what we have next on our agenda here. Looks like Whiskey Alpha Zero X-Ray. You can see it right there at the intersection of the two flight airways. Okay, I think that is Pagamba, if I'm not too mistaken. Alright, so let's go ahead and get hop in there, because we've got a few more hills that we need to go over to get to Pagamba. So, collective is coming up, and we'll say goodbye to the finest dressed women, and also to the lady doing her gardening there. Okay. Now I have to say, out of all of the X-plane helicopters that I've flown just far, whether it be from VSkyLabs or any other developers, this one definitely seems to be one of the smoothest flying. And you'll notice that our oil temperature just went back down. This is good. So it's also pretty forgiving too. Now, I actually wanted to do a little bit more research on this thing, so I actually went to the Cicaré website and looked up like the overview, the features, the technical specs, and all of that good jazz, and a little bit of the history of the company. Come to find out, everything that I found online seems to indicate that this really is a very smooth flying helicopter. It's a very stable platform, and a lot of the aerodynamic work that went into this makes it that way. Actually, let me show you what the autopilot is like. So it's on the far left there. We're going to click that on. Alright, there we go. It should be on now. And we're actually going to bring it up to about 5,700 feet. I think that should be just enough to get over that hill there. So right about there should be good. Okay, and you can see we are now stable at 5,700 feet. And they have this listed as an experimental autopilot. And yeah, I know, it seems pretty dang stable for an experimental autopilot. But that's what VSkyLabs is calling it, so that's what we're going to go with. I am, however, going to take the autopilot off as we make our way towards the next airport. You can see it there off in the distance. Just to remind you, that is Pagamba Airport that we are going to. And I know you hear me talk about the word stability a lot. When it comes to helicopters, of course, there is no real such thing as stability because this is inherently an unstable aircraft. And welcome to Pagamba Airstrip. Looks like I need to move this helipad slightly because it's kind of teetering on the edge there. Alright, let's see if we can swing her around. We're coming in a little fast. We might slide a bit here. Yep, just a little slip and slide. But hey, we made it. Hey there, kid! Look at that little kid. Hi, kid! Look at you waving at us. That's so cool. The parents are totally unimpressed, by the way. But here we are at Pagamba, and I decided to make this airport a little bit different. I wanted to make it kind of like a private resort type thing. And I guess that's probably the office manager or something out there. I don't know. Looks like the passenger plane that brings all the guests in. I don't know. I'm just making all this stuff up, folks. So yeah, not too shabby. It's got that little chalet vibe to it. Hey, little kid. You're waving at us again. All right, this is cool. Parents are probably like, who is that creep in a helicopter? Sheesh. All right, next place on our list is one of those that I can't really pronounce. I'm going to go with Magoolow. We'll figure it out when we get there. All right, let's lift up our collective. And we need a little extra power because we're a little higher up than we have been. We also need to go around this caravan. Oh boy, that was a little close. Whew. Okay, none of you saw that, right? None of you saw that. And especially the guy back there holding the gas can next to the Cessna. So far, this helicopter's not too shabby, right? Although, we're back up here again with the temperature. You can see it's already at 136 degrees. Whew, okay. Well, here's how we're going to get rid of that. We're going to level ourselves off a little bit, and I'm going to lower the collective, so that way the RPMs go down just a slight bit. The RPM should be stable because we've got our governor engaged. You'll remember I did that in the whole startup procedure here. So eventually over time everything should start cooling down a little bit, and especially once we get over the next couple sets of peaks here and start coming down towards the next airport, we should actually be able to cool the engine off more effectively. But I will say this, I am thoroughly enjoying this aircraft, and as I was saying earlier, I did some research on it, like checked out some of the YouTube videos and the website, of course, and I gotta say that Augusto Cicaré really did an impressive job in designing this thing. Bear in mind, this thing first came out in 1993, so when you think about it, it's really not that old, so to speak. I mean, bear in mind, we're just about getting ready to hit the year 2020 at the time of this recording. So yeah, it's a little old, but it's not like what I would consider vintage. But a lot of the work that was put into this thing really stands the test of time. And I can easily see why this is a fun helicopter that somebody would want to build from a kit. Now, if you're feeling froggy and you decide you want to actually go out and purchase a real one of these things, you better have at least $121,000 US. That's one hill down, and we've got another hill directly ahead of us. Once we get past this hill, it is a straight shot down to that river that we saw when we first started flying from Homeo. So on the opposite side of the river is going to be Boogalaga. I think that's how I pronounce it, but hey, you know what? At this point, I could just say anything, and you'll still have to accept it. Well, okay, maybe you don't have to accept it. I'm sure there'll always be someone in the comments to correct me, so do your thing. Okay, and we're coming down the leeward side of the mountain, and as you can see, our temperatures have gone back down. And you can also see, just past the river directly ahead, that little empty green spot, that is the airport that I was talking about. That is Magoolow. And again, I just can't get over that word. Watch, I'm probably going to have somebody from Papua New Guinea in the comments like, dude, man, just don't even try it. Just like, go by the ICAO code or something. Don't even try to pronounce our names. Alright, I make fun. Okay, so there's our river, looking pretty sharp. Unfortunately, I wanted to get some ortho photos for this, but you would be amazed at how incredibly difficult it is to find really good ortho photos for this part of the world. Don't ask me how Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to pull that off. Okay, folks, welcome to Magoolow, and let me see if I can put us down right on the H. Oh, okay. Well, that was a little rougher than my other landings, but you know what? We're here, we're safe, and I don't see anybody coming out to yell at us. So yeah, pretty good. This was actually one of the earlier airports that I had done. I actually had this one done like several months ago because I meant to show it to you back then with a different aircraft. Unfortunately, I got sidetracked, as is most often the case. Alright, so we're about halfway done with our journey. We've visited 4 places so far, and we have 2 more to go. So, this is what's on the agenda. Once we take off from Whiskey Tango 89, we're going to go to Whiskey Whiskey 68, and then we're going to end up at Whiskey Alpha Bravo X-Ray. So, those 2 are the ones from the Suzy Air package. I'm hoping you're all buckled up in your seats, folks, because this is going to be a wild ride. I have plans for us for this leg here. Alright, let me do my final checks here. We really don't have too far to go, but our temperatures are creeping up again, which is definitely not good. You can also tell we're a little higher up than all the other airports that we've been to thus far. So we're going to need a little bit more power, and hopefully this concrete underneath us will work in our favor. But of course, I'm going to have to slide off and begin some forward momentum. Okay, translational lift is good, and here we go over the edge. And we're going to make our right-hand turn and come back around the way we came. So yeah, we are headed towards the river, and I'm going to get really down and dirty and just basically follow the path of the river to our next airport. And I'm sure a number of you are probably watching me just cruise along at like 40 knots and wondering, well, just how fast can this helicopter actually go, Bell? Well, have I got a show for you, because this sucker can cruise right around 100 knots, and I'm going to push it right up to the edge of its flight envelope here. If you are a real-life helicopter pilot watching this, you might not want to watch the next 5 minutes or so. Alright, I don't know about you folks, but this is the part that I have been waiting for. Down in the weeds with my hair on fire, as I like to call it, and just barely skimming the surface of this river here. Now, you'll have to forgive me, I did not do my homework. I have no idea what the name of this river is. I'm sure I could probably look it up as I'm doing the voiceovers for this, but yeah, right now that's just too much work. And let's face it, I want to try and get this video out on Christmas Day 2020. Here it is, Christmas Eve, and I'm still trying to finish this dang thing up. So, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm just going to have you enjoy some of this fancy flying that we are about to do around this river that I have no idea what the name of it is. Can you tell that it's been a long year, folks? Wait, is that a mountain? Oh, no, no, no. Are you telling me this river makes a hard right turn? Oh boy. Okay, well, this is going to get interesting. And let's get a little bit more airspeed. Woo! good thing I can't feel the G-forces in VR, folks. Wow, that was incredible. So far, this has really been a fun ride. And as I'm snaking through the river here in Papua, one thing I do want to remind you of, since this is a new VSkyLabs helicopter, make sure that you have experimental flight model turned on. Man, I live for this stuff, folks, and I can't tell you just how much I thoroughly enjoy flying around in Papua, or even Papua New Guinea, which is the neighbor right next door. This area is like an untouched wilderness, and it is just so amazing to do low and slow flying. And you know, folks, the funny thing about it is doing stuff like this, crazy little stunts like this, is really how I get a feel for the helicopter or other aircraft that I'm flying. And honestly, I think that VSkyLabs has really done this aircraft justice. I have, of course, never been in a real helicopter like this, but I can only imagine that this is probably what it feels like, because VSkyLabs has so far been known for being on point with their helicopter models, and they've absolutely knocked it out of the park once again with this helicopter. So you may have noticed that we have gained in altitude and we're veering off from the river. That is because we are getting close to our next airport, which I believe is called Boogalaga. Now that also is going to be one of the airports that has like a little village attached to it. But the major difference between this and everything that we've seen previously is this one actually comes with the Suzy Air package, which of course will be linked in the video description below. So let us begin our ascent and our approach to Boogalaga. Alright, should be just around this hill here, so we're gonna go to the right and then gain a little bit more altitude, and oh boy! Our temperatures are back up again. You can see we're in the red. Okay, so I'm thinking this probably has something to do with our elevation right now. I'm pretty sure if we were at sea level, we might not be running into this issue, but because we are well over 5,000, almost 6,000 feet, yeah, I can imagine this thing is struggling Just a little bit. But we can handle it, though. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up as we go up the ski ramp to Boogalaga. I think there's a helipad here. It's been a while since I've actually flown into this one. But yeah, you can see we've got a whole bunch of people there waiting for cargo. Maybe they're waiting for Christmas presents. After all, it is Christmas Day. If you are watching this the day that I actually make this video public, it is Christmas Day 2020. So here we go. We're going to deliver all the gifts for all the good girls and boys in Papua. Alright, so as mentioned before, this particular airport and the last one that we are about to visit are a part of the Suzy Air package. That package is what I featured many episodes ago, where we were kind of doing a brief tour around Papua. It does have 30 different airports, of which this is a part. Now, one important thing that I do need to mention if you do decide to pick up the Suzy Air package, there is also a Papua New Guinea mesh that you are going to want to get in order for these airports to sit properly. And damn, that temperature is still not coming down. Okay, well, hopefully we can fix that after takeoff. Thankfully, where we're going is literally just a short hop across the river in that direction. There's like a hill in between us. Well, I guess technically two hills since we're on top of one. For this last leg, however, I think I'm going to want to put on our landing lights. Really should have had them on the whole time, but I'm sure nobody will yell at me for it, so there we go. Alright, I think we're ready to go, so let's head to our final destination. Okay, so we're going to head back over towards the river. This time around, I'm not going to go right into the riverbed like we did before. I'm probably going to try and keep it between 5,500 and maybe 5,700, that sort of altitude here. And the reason for that is the last airport that we're going to, Belai Airport, is also on top of a hill. Granted, it's not nearly as high as the airport that we just came from, but still, we're going to need to get up the little lip there to actually bring ourselves down. So we'll try not to lose too much altitude on the way there. And another quick note about that mesh that I told you about, if you do decide to utilize the mesh, bear in mind not every single Suzy Air airport is going to look right. The reason for that is this mesh makes Papua New Guinea look way more dramatic. Alright, we are coming around the hill. This is our last hill before the airport. You can see the airport right there in the village of Belai. Okay, folks, buckle yourselves in tight because this is our final stop for Christmas Day. Welcome, folks, to Belai, a beautiful little village with a custom-made helipad that I added, but we are not going to be landing at. Instead, off in the distance, you should see Gretchen and Sue, and we are going to be landing right next to Gretchen and Sue. So, let's bust a Yui. I don't know about you, but I think we did a pretty good job there, because, you know, we got to show off for the girls. The girls really are impressed by, you know, helicopter flying, so we got to do our best job. And we'll bring her down nice and softly as I can do. Voila! Look at that! The girls are impressed, and honestly, so am I. That's probably the smoothest helicopter landing I've ever done in X-Plane 11 since I started using this dang thing. But there it is, folks. That is it for the little Christmas tour that I wanted to share with you today. So yeah, what do you think of this helicopter? This is, again, the VSkyLabs Cicaré-8 ULM. This baby is PAYWARE. It is worth every penny, and it's really not all that expensive. So if you're looking for a relatively cheap helicopter to pick up that's well designed, well modeled, and just an absolute joy to fly, especially in VR like I am, you're going to want to pick this up. Just to remind you, the scenery package that we've sort of been using has been the Suzy Air package, and the Suzy Air package has 30 airports included. I will have the link in the video description below, along with the link to the mesh that I am using to make my Papua mountains look a bit more impressive. And before I forget, I would like to wish each and every one of you watching this video a very Merry Christmas 2019. If you're watching this video years and years later, well, sorry you couldn't be here when this first came out, but I really do hope that you still enjoyed the video. As always, this has been BelGeode. I have been flying in X-Plane 11. And if you've enjoyed the video, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you next year. Ciao!